r/AskReddit. What is just a placebo effect, but most people don't realize? As a former lifeguard, I can assure you that whatever cleanup you see lifeguards doing after someone vomits in the pool is almost certainly just show. There isn't really anything you can do, you just let the filter/chlorine take care of it, and pretend to clean, to please the suburban moms. Not sure if it's really placebo, but there is research done on how a car door should sound when you close it. A flat and boring pank sound would do just fine, but a lot of people find that soft, plush and yet firm schrumpf sound reassures them the door is closed. Someone please do a better job here describing car doors closing because mine sucks. The original Febreze was unscented, but nobody believed it worked, so they added scent to it, which makes me so mad. I despise every stinking fragrance on the market and just want things to not smell. If I want jeans to not smell like butt, I don't want to spray them with wet grass smell or whatever. Give me an odorless product. There aren't enough of them. How long it takes a coinster to process and count coins and return a receipt. It finishes quickly. So quickly that folks are skeptical of the accuracy. So a fake delay, with fake counting noises, was built in giving folks more confidence in the results. Turkey doesn't have enough tryptophan to make you sleepy. You're most likely sleepy cause you ate too much, and your body's in rest and digest mode. Edit to at, it's a placebo. When you eat a meal that includes turkey, and say you're tired, but eat a meal of the same calories and conditions with chicken instead, and you don't feel tired. It's conditioned into American culture because of overeating at American Thanksgiving. When my cat wants fresh food, but he still has some in his bowl, I pretend to put more in there. He usually falls for it. Does the bowl have high sides? Eating out of bowls instead of flat plates can sometimes cause issues with their whiskers touching the side and being overstimulated, since they're quite sensitive. Beats headphones have weights inside them to make them heavier and give the illusion of quality and sturdiness. So, if the headphones are too heavy, I should disassemble them and remove the weights. I got caught broke for having Bose headphones and not having Beats. A $300 plus pair of Bose headphones. When cake mixes first came out you only had to add water to them, but too many housewives felt like that was cheating and wouldn't buy cake mixes. So the cake mix companies added another step, the eggs. It worked. Apparently the cracking and adding of the eggs to the batter was enough to make it feel more homemade and cake mixes became extremely popular. Now I'm mad. I have probably 3 cake mixes in my pantry right now that I keep using up all my eggs before getting to make. If it wasn't for those housewives I would have had cake by now. Unbelievable. That minty fresh, zesty /clean feeling you get from toothpaste. It started as a marketing strategy and caught on, and now almost all toothpaste is mint, because we associate the minty freshness with cleanliness. Actually it was to help mask the taste of the stannous fluoride. Also the whole foaming thing doesn't do anything. I'm not sure if it still does this, but at one time Google Docs intercepted the Ctrl+S shortcut and briefly changes the cursor to the thinking cursor, hourglass, beach ball, whatever your computer does. You don't need to save your Google Docs. They save every tiny change on the server. But people are used to doing it. I don't see a saving animation. I'll assume the saving process didn't work. I swear my car performs better immediately after it's cleaned. That free shipping is a better deal. It generally means they've added the cost into the product instead, but you feel like you've gotten a better deal. This is 100% true. I used to sell furniture at a no gimmicks kind of place where they were open about all cost, including delivery. I would do the math for people, show them how we were still saving them tons of money even with delivery, but some people would still walk out and go pay literally hundreds of dollars more for free delivery from Ashley's. The exaggerated sounds of some vacuum cleaners, microwaves, and cars to make them sound powerful. The loading screens on some apps that make it seem like they are doing something complex. I once spoke to a guy involved in developing the first ATM cash machines. Early trials showed that users thought that the dispensing of cash happened too fast and didn't trust that it had correctly debited their account for the right amount. So they inserted a wait cycle to make it appear that the machine was counting the cash. That wait cycle is still there today in most machines. Your permanent record. Colleges care more about what you say on Twitter and Facebook than what you said to Dakota in 3rd grade. The only time your permanent record means something is if you transfer within the district. Drinking Canada Dry ginger ale helps with an upset tummy. They wear suit because their ginger ale has no ginger in it. And that was the only stuff that helped when I had the stomach flu as a kid. I got the stomach flu a lot too. Whenever I go to look in the back for an item that is clearly sold out, I had an employee offer to go look in the back, and she brought 3 pairs of the pants I was looking for. It was the strangest thing. I install commercial audio/video systems. On bigger, more involved jobs like stadiums and arenas, we have AV consultants who don't work for my company, but are a big link in the chain as far as designing and decking the finished system. I don't know how many times I've been up in a 80-foot boom lift and they want the azimuth or down angle of a speaker adjusted by some ridiculously small amount. So you get back up there, bang a couple wrenches on the speaker, and don't actually move shit. How's that? Oh yeah. That sounds better. There's actually a story like that when Michelangelo was carving the statue of David. Whoever he was making the statue for stopped by and said the nose was too big, but it only appeared that way because he was looking at it from directly beneath. So Michelangelo went up and pretended to carve it down and dropped some previously carved shavings to save arguing. For men, shaving their beard makes it grow thicker. This not the case. Shaving only makes all hair grow at the same, giving the illusion that more or new hair is growing, when in reality it is not. Edit. Yes, this is true with all hair, and women also go through similar situations of being berated with people telling them fallacies about hair. I had only the thought of beard thickness when I typed that. It is not uncommon to having a loading screen or icon placed in queries sometimes, just because the average user doesn't expect it to be this quick. Intentional lag on websites when signing up/payment processing. Source: I write code sometimes that work. Wine prices. They've done studies that show people think wine tastes better if it costs more, but when they do a blind taste test very few people, even people who are wine drinkers, not everyone, there are some people who can tell, but it's a pretty small percentage, can't distinguish between pretty cheap $15-20 bottle and expensive wine. A scarecrow in the garden. They do work briefly, but birds figure out it's not a threat pretty fast. People try to remedy this by changing the location, position of the limbs and clothes it wears to keep it fresh. Kissing a boo-boo. What? No. My 4-year-old nephew would like to have words with you, good person. Dislikes on it comments. I never understood that, the numbers don't even go down. Detoxifying nonsense juices. Your body's liver and kidneys are enough to detoxify your blood. You don't need avocado smoothie with cows come inside it. And water is all you need. Except sometimes salt/electrolytes to retain that water, as I've recently learned. Branded painkillers. Cheap stuff is normally exactly the same and does just the job. This goes for any generic. Don't waste your money on brands. If the active pharmaceutical ingredient, API, is the same, it's the same drug. Edit. To everyone replying with anecdotes about generics causing issues, I'd much rather people attempt to save their money and then find out they disagree with a generic than be afraid of generics from the get-go. Bubbles in cleaning products. Early formulations of soap way back when used to naturally form suds. Newer formulations can clean better, but don't naturally produce suds as the bubbling was an incidental side effect that doesn't actually have any bearing on cleaning. When these newer soaps were first introduced, people complained they didn't work because they didn't make loads of bubbles. So the manufacturers started adding a chemical solely to generate bubbles that didn't actually help with the cleaning at all, and all the complaints stopped. To this day the association of BUBBLES equals CLEAN is strong enough that they still do it. Basically all cleaning products, including toothpaste, foam up when used, and almost without exception the foam is 100% marketing. When you give your young sibling an unconnected controller, after he/she kept bugging to join the game. Your blanket covering your legs/yourself from a serial killer at night. Well, it's worked so far, so joke's on you, buddy. MLMs. People feel successful when in fact they're losing money. This is also why you can't pity buy from someone. I know so many people who say they're anti-MLM, but then just buy a single item or two when a friend starts to sell. That's worse than outright saying no, because now you've given them that successful feeling and encouraged them to keep going longer and losing more money. The airplane that mommy feeds you. I don't think it's really an airplane. Lies. Fancy bottled water. I bought Fiji water BC. I thought it would be different. I paid like $5 for it, and it did the same as the water from my house. Dear Box users, spamming A does not speed up loading screens. You may not like it, but that's the truth. Homeopathy. My mum is a homeopath and I don't subscribe to it at all. Please save your judgments. I'm not here to discuss that, but I've seen her help many people with minor to moderate afflictions. While the medicine definitely doesn't work, the patients believe it does. In this, along with the fact that sitting down for an hour with someone who listens to all of your problems and ailments in detail and takes much more interest in their life than a normal GP would, leads to them having belief that they'll get better. My belief is that the psychological help they receive often helps with problems, especially ones that are exacerbated by stress. Also, I'll note that any homeopath who isn't a shitty person does not try to treat mental illness or life-threatening conditions that require real medical care and will tell the patient this. As an IT person, giving a user a new monitor will make them swear their computer is faster. Edit. Wow, this blew up. This is by far my highest rated comment in existence. I haven't worked tech support for over a decade, so my comment comes from a time in the late 90s when users were using compact iPad mini towers and just couldn't get over the switch from cord to LCD monitors. And holy cow, the switch from 4:3 to 16:9 was life-changing. Sadly, this observation has nothing to do with refresh rate, as that's a modern consideration we didn't have the luxury of back in the old days. When I was a waitress 100 years ago, my customers asked me all the time to turn the heat up/down because they were too hot/cold. I'd be like, oh yeah, definitely. Let me go take care of that for you. Then I would go stand in the back, drink some water, and then head back to the table and tell them I'd adjusted the temperature. It worked every single time. Edit. Guys, I obviously didn't waitress 100 years ago. I was exaggerating because I'm old. Jesus. Period synchronization. Every woman I've ever met swears it's a thing, but the data show it is not. It's just that different people have slightly different cycles, so they go in and out of sync with each other constantly over time. Kind of like multiple cars' blinkers when stopped at a light. MSG. It is just fine. It does not cause headaches or any other reactions. Also, all things non-gluten. If you don't have legit diagnosed celiac disease, gluten is just fine.